more fun to run out on the field coming off a win. Glenn Mason, Lisa Byington, Damon Bennings on the field. Will join him in just a bit. You and I have been here on campus at least for a day, and it just feels a little bit different.
Yeah, it's amazing what one win will do. Everybody's talking about how great it is to see Cornhuskers with smiles back on their faces.
They're coming off that win against Minnesota and the best offensive performance as a team. And their quarterback, Adrian Martinez, all he did is just have another 400-yard game. Yeah,
this Martinez is really something special, and October's been very good for him. 3 out of 4 games over 400 yards. It's a perfect fit. He can throw the ball. He's very mobile. They've got a lot of weapons that he can throw to, and they throw a lot of things at defenses, and he can come up with big plays. And I'll tell you something else, Lisa. Over 400 yards offense, you have to have the ability to run the ball also. The 3 of them, they tie a school record. The only thing that they're forgetting there is the Nebraska game. But what a big red October number 2 has had. And yes, just a true freshman for Nebraska. Martinez would like win number 2. So would his head coach, Scott Frost, who is standing by with Damon Benning.
Coach, one of your mottos is day by day you want to get better and better. How does today give you some tangible benchmarks on how your program is growing?
I think everybody will be able to see it. We need to be a better team than we were last week. It doesn't matter who we play. We're competing against ourselves and our former selves, and we got to be better than we were yesterday.
Fine line between wanting to keep guys healthy and keep the ball rolling. You got a ton of momentum. How do you keep that train moving?
The key to that is starting fast. We got to come out and play our best right at the beginning, and then if we get in the type of game that we want to get in, then we'll make other decisions. But I want to see guys be all out early.
Coach, best wishes.
Damon, thank you. A lot of pressure release, really, after win number 1 in last week for Scott Frost. And a lot of streaks were broken for Nebraska. And these are numbers you're not used to seeing. An 0-6 start to the season. That was the worst in school history. On top of that, there was more. A 10-game losing skid. That was the longest in Nebraska history. And yet, even more, a 7-game home losing streak. That's the longest in Husker history. Those are just numbers you just don't see here.
Yeah, you know, you look at Scott Frost, there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He's one of their own. He understands the rich tradition in Nebraska, and Cornhuskers, every place, are counting on him to getting them back to a championship level.
Well, Nebraska will receive, which means we will see Adrian Martinez go to work right out of the gates. Bethune Cookman won the toss. They elected to defer.
You know, that's a commonplace anymore. Most teams, they win the toss, they defer. The idea is to start on defense, hopefully hold that offense to 3 plays, make them punt the ball, and then you gain a field position edge. We'll see if it works.
And again, both of these teams, this was supposed to be their bye week. Nebraska scheduling this after the Akron game was canceled in week 1 because of weather conditions. A much different weather situation here this afternoon. That game only got the kickoff, and then they called it.
And Bethune Cookman got a special waiver for the NCAA to play a 12th game today.
They're underway in Lincoln, Nebraska. A short kick. It's out of bounds. And so a flag on the play. Will be really good field position here to start on this first series for Nebraska.
Free kick out of bounds.
And one Adrian Martinez.
By rule, the ball is placed at the 35-yard line.
The ball will be placed on the 35-yard line for Adrian Martinez, coming off those numbers that he had against Minnesota. A co-freshman Big Ten Player of the Week, and I love Scott Frost's reaction. He said, who's the other? And
Rondell Moore.
Yeah, and then he agreed with it.
Yeah, he's pretty good too. He'd like to have Rondell Moore in this offense.
J.D. Spielman on the move. Pass is connected to Stanley Morgan. A big gain across the midfield and across the 50. When you follow Nebraska football, you know all about J.D. Spielman and the success that Stanley Morgan and Spielman have had as the top 2 receivers in this offense.
And they're going to go fast today, Lisa.
They'll call some tempo plays again out to Morgan. Tackle made by Henry Miller. That was one thing that this Nebraska coaching staff had talked to us, in particular offensive coordinator Troy Walters had said ideally we would like to get 90 to 100 plays today. We're going to have a couple of tempo calls where Adrian Martinez will just be calling plays based on hand signals. Swings it out. to Spielman, who gets caught right across the 35.
I was impressed, Lisa, when they talked about their Thursday practice was the best Thursday practice that they've ever had. Not only here at Nebraska, but when they were in Central Florida, they said, man, we were sharp. We go through 24 plays 4 times. We got done with time to spare.
Moving on downfield in this series, tackle is made on Bethune Cookman. Ty Peters making the tackle.
Peters on the stop for the Wildcats. On the play.
Our auto owners insurance when Nebraska has the ball. We're talking about Spielman and Ozigbo.
Yeah, well, J.D. Spielman, 4 straight games, at least 8 receptions. And Ozigbo, you talk about a big play guy. Ozigbo, big play guy. Last week that runs a 40 and 59 yards.
A gain of 8 to number 8.
9-yard gain on the play. First and 10, Nebraska at the 22.
Where he was really the 3rd or 4th string coming out of fall camp, or coming into fall camp, I should say. They're swinging out to Spielman. And they're just moving right on down the field. Trevor Merritt making the tackle.
We better get Damon Benning with a stopwatch on these plays. I mean, they talk about fast. This is mock speed.
Flag on the play, movement on the line. False start maybe on the right side.
Offense. Number 71. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
It's Matt Farniak.
And penalties have been an issue for Nebraska this year. Just under 10 penalties a game, which is way too many.
Matt Farniak has had his fair share of penalties, in particular the Wisconsin game. But you're talking about a couple of tackles that are both sophomores here on this offensive line. Martinez with the handoff to Ozigbo, who's in for the first Nebraska touchdown. Pickering makes the extra point. Huskers have scored on the opening drive in 3 of the past 4 games. All have been touchdowns. Mark it down once again for Bethune Cookman. Beautiful, clear and sunny, about 50-degree temps, just 4 to 5 mile-per-hour winds. That was not the case last week in the first half. Wind was a factor in this Nebraska-Minnesota game last week. Jimmy Robinson, he's got some potential to take one back. And a hard hit on special teams by Cam Taylor. Snuffed him out.
I'll tell you, that was a classic tackle by Cam Taylor. An open field tackle, and you just want to get a guy down. Well, he got him more than down. Well,
Bethune Cookman, you see the difference that he's had the first 3 games, and then the last 4. Of course, he capped off that first drive with a 14-yard touchdown run. And Bethune Cookman is a guy who has really kind of created himself into being the top back for Nebraska. You could argue that they had started to recruit over him with Maurice Washington, and then with Greg Bell bringing in the junior college transfer. David Israel will get the start here for Bethune Cookman, and it's the handoff to Tupac Ismie. Stop is made by Mo Berry. Leads this team in tackles.
Well, this Cornhusker defense should be well prepared to defend Bethune Cookman, because the Bethune Cookman offense really resembles a lot of what the Cornhuskers do.
Eric Shenander was even comparing it to the spread offense that you'll see with the Northwestern Wildcats. Out of the shotgun, pass is incomplete. It was intended for John Thomas, our auto owners impact players, when Bethune Cookman has the ball.
Yeah, well, cornerback DeCaprio Boodle, he was the first defensive back to be awarded the black shirt. And Mohamed Barry, the linebacker, leads the team with 64 tackles, also has 7 tackles for loss.
Brings up a 3rd and 7. Israel back to throw. He'll try to run out of trouble. Got a ways to go. And the tackle is made by Freedom Akimoladu. A gain of 5, but short of the first down. David, Israel is your backup quarterback, by the way, for Bethune Cookman. Their starter, Akevius Williams, was hurt in the last game against North Carolina A&T. There's a look at head coach Terry Sims in his 4th year.
Yeah, Williams fumbled the ball down around the goal line and also got injured. And you saw the quarterback scrambling. That's the #1 thing that concerns the Nebraska defense. The quarterback pulling the ball down, running with it.
J.D. Spielman back to receive. And Spielman has some room to move across midfield. He's waiting for a block. Cuts it inside. Spielman gonna give it a go. Touchdown.
Said he'd be an impact player, Lisa, but I was thinking as a receiver, I forgot to mention he's awful good on special teams also. Awful good blocking, and you do not want to give number 10 the ball in open space.
Eric Lee with a key block. A 77-yard return, the longest return for Nebraska this season. And the Huskers are rolling. A big red start here at Memorial Stadium, up by a couple of scores. A touchdown on the first drive, and now a special teams touchdown, a 77-yard punt return by J.D. Spielman. Longest punt return, by the way, DeMornay Pearson L. coming against the Hawkeyes back on November 28th, 2014. It'll be a touchback for Bethune Cookman. Well, that punt return was so good, it's a BTN standout presented by Auto Owners Insurance, Mace.
Man, was it ever. You know, you have a good return. You always need one block that'll get it done. And watch it right here. Watch right there. And you'll see it's a key block. He throws his hands up to make sure he doesn't block the man in the back. And the rest is history. Awful good execution by the Cornhuskers on a touchdown punt return.
Awful good execution, too. One more look at the J.D. Spielman take. His first of the year on special teams.
Comes from a football family. His dad's the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, and his uncle is the great Chris Spielman.
Israel. Pass complete.
Israel's pass complete to #1, Kevon Mitchell.
Complete to Kevon Mitchell. That'll be his top target. Lamar Jackson.
Gain of 9 on the play, so it's a second down and 1 from the Bethune Cookman 34.
Israel with a handoff this time to Isaac Washington. David Israel, he started the first part of this season, won the job out of preseason camp, and then Akevius Williams took over the job really after the second series as the tides began to change for Bethune Cookman at the quarterback spot in the FAU game.
Little battles won. First downs are
as Israel just throws it away. That is not his strength. David Israel is not known as a passing quarterback. much rather like to tuck and run.
Yeah, he took the little roll out there, and there was nothing open, and he didn't even mess around. He just threw it out of bounds, and I think he might know his limitations in this game, and when they go with play action, if he sees a wide open receiver, he'll throw it. If not, I think he'll tuck it and run.
More picks than touchdowns this year. You saw his numbers. Israel back to throw, but into the open space. Stephon Francois. And he almost just ran out of gas. He was trying to take it. Antonio Reed able to chase him down.
Well, they're involved in man coverage, and you can see you get beat right at the line of scrimmage, and the safety gets moved in the middle of the field, man-free coverage, and that's why you get a big gain. That same type of route really hurt him last week against Minnesota.
Hand off to Washington, and taken down in the backfield by Mo Berry. 8 tackle for losses this year.
Yeah, start the zone, hand the ball back, trying to go back against the flow of the defense, but the Cornhuskers were in great position.
And Darian Wilson is now your tailback here for Bethune Cookman. They will rotate 4 running backs here throughout this afternoon. Israel looking end zone, thinking end zone, dropped to Malik Jackson.
Yeah, he threw it behind Malik Jackson. Malik Jackson had his hands on it. He could have caught it. Would have been a great catch, but he's got an open receiver. I think he probably saw the Cornhusker coming in and knew that the only chance he had was to put it to the back shoulder.
Now brings up a 3rd and long.
If I was the Cornhuskers, I'd be ready for a quarterback draw.
Israel instead back to throw. Was looking for the corner. He was intended for Mitchell, and it was well covered by Nebraska. Lamar Jackson was one of the defenders there.
Yeah, they go back and look at this. I don't know why he didn't pull the ball down. Now, you can see they've got Mohamed Berry, number 7, spying the quarterback because they're worried about that, but there's a lot of green space. You have a chance to get a missed tackle there and get in the end zone.
Here's Uriel Hernandez. Only missed 1 field goal here this year. 5 of 6 on the season. A 28-yarder is good. Bethune Cookman is now on the board. Cornhusker territory. A little time for harvest, Glenn Mason.
Yeah, I hear you. It's awful beautiful there. A lot of corn, and that's why they call them the Cornhuskers.
In the stands. Got out of the harvest. Escape the harvest. Say about these fans, you know, I was here last week standing on the field, and you could never tell, even from start to finish, that this was an 0-6 football team, and I know that's something that Scott Frost had addressed. The loyalty and the support of this fan base. Another short kick on the kickoff. Fielded by Ozigbo. But a little bit later, coming up next on BTN, the doubleheader continues. Illinois taking on Maryland in College Park. Big Ten football powered by American Ethanol. Today at 3:30 Eastern right here on BTN. Of course, you can watch it on the Fox Sports app. Maryland needs a couple more wins, really, to be bowl eligible. They're 4-3 here on this year.
Lisa, we talked about how fast Nebraska ran the plays the first series, and you know, they talked about they script the plays to start the game, which enables them to really run it fast.
Handoff to Maurice Washington. He's coming off his first 100-yard game in his career. Had 109 yards against Minnesota last week. And just a freshman, so Scott Frost is working with a true freshman quarterback, a freshman running back. Got a couple sophomores as your offensive tackles. J.D. Spielman, of course, who makes the catch there down the sideline. He's a sophomore. The ball's popped loose. And Bethune Cookman pouncing on it.
I'm not sure he got on it in bounds, though.
Tidarius Peters was the player for Bethune Cookman who forced the fumble.
So it was fumbled forward, so it goes back to the spot where it was fumbled. That's going way down the field. But I don't think he got it before he has to control it.
He has to control it, and he didn't. And so they will be on the 35-yard line.
That receiver could not have been more wide open, by the way.
Martinez with all kinds of time to throw. And he was looking Mike Williams' way.
Martinez pass is incomplete. Intended for number 19, Mike Williams.
One more look at
Peters.
the play by Peters, who popped it loose.
Yeah, it's he came from behind and punched the ball out. You know, if the rear tip of the ball is showing, you can punch it out. So you got to carry it high and tight.
Martinez into the handoff to Washington. Washington right up the gut. Spin move. Still on his feet, and Dukeway making the play. Washington, all kinds of athleticism in his game.
Yeah, this doesn't look very clean, but you can see he's doing a little dancing in the backfield, but he's going. 2 different level cuts, but positive yards.
Martinez will keep it. And pass connect to Austin Allen, one of the tight ends.
You know, you hear everybody talk about run-pass options, Lisa, you know, and that's what makes it so tough on the undercoverage. The linebackers is a run fake. Linemen are coming at you, then the ball's thrown right behind you.
That's Allen's first catch of the year. Martinez going in zone, connects Morgan, another Nebraska touchdown.
It's too easy, Lisa. You see it right there, just a one-man cut. The outside receiver just stayed right in the line of scrimmage and let Morgan do his own thing.
Aaron Pickering with another extra point. 6 plays, 76 yards. A little help of a fumble rolling out of bounds, and it ends with a touchdown. Another one, this 3rd of the day for Nebraska. Well, my favorite time of year is the fall season. Leaves changing. And Mason, you said they were already changed in Minneapolis. Is that true?
Changing, they're laying on the ground. Are you kidding me?
You got your first snow coming next week, right?
You need to come over and rake my leaves.
Well, a great birthday present indeed would be another Nebraska win. Trying to go back-to-back here in the Scott Frost era. Jimmy Robinson, another touchback.
You know, Lisa, you mentioned it before, but 366 consecutive sellouts, and that's impressive in its own right. But let's be honest, Nebraska's really struggled the last number of years, and the commitment that these Cornhusker fans make to this program, and I always thought when I had to come in here and play against Nebraska that one of the differences, the Nebraska people, they don't think they're spectators, they think they're participants. They get involved in the game, and they're very knowledgeable.
Well, the PS to the sellout is the fact that we mentioned that this is the substitute game for the Akron game that was canceled. So there was a debate among the university. Do they count this as 2 sellouts or just 1? And the answer is they're going to count it just as 1. Pass is complete right at the 30-yard line to Malik Jackson. The tackle is made by Antonio Reed.
They ran a linebacker through again, and it seems like the best success that Bethune Cookman's had in the passing game is when there's some type of pressure coming and a void is open in that secondary.
Israel again back to throw. The pass is batted down. Ben Stilley was there. Stilley, of course, making news this week. He was offered the black shirt, and he turned it down to the equipment manager.
Yeah, and it's You know, a lot of people didn't understand that, and I asked Scott Frost about that, and he said, no, it was positive because he's a Nebraska kid. He understands what a black shirt really means, and he didn't think he really did the job during the week of practice that he should have, and he thought there was a couple plays in the game he didn't hustle like a black shirt should, so he didn't think he should wear it.
This defense now forcing a third down. Israel on the rollout. Pass is incomplete. And another 3 and out for this offense. It was intended for John Thomas. Dedrick Young there on the coverage.
You know, I've mentioned a couple times that the Nebraska defense has gone at blitzing. Well, you know, why wouldn't you? You got David Israel, the backup cornerback that hasn't played very much, only thrown 39 passes, 18 completions coming this game. Why wouldn't you put the blitz on him to see if he can handle it?
Now you got your place kicker, Uriel Hernandez, who's going to be the punter. Now Hernandez and Giovanni Francis have flip-flopped. They're actually on the depth chart listed as each other's backup, as a punter and as a place kicker. And that one again rolling out of bounds just about at the 30-yard line. So more good field position for Adrian Martinez and this offense to work. Next Saturday, BTN Tailgate heads to Michigan's campus. Dave, Jerry, Howard, Spice, and Michelle will set the scene before the Nittany Lions and the Wolverines. BTN Tailgate presented by T-Mobile. That's next Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern right here on BTN.
Wolverines versus the Nittany Lions. That'll be a good one.
That's a big one. Michigan, the best team in the Big Ten right now? I mean, record-wise, they are.
Yeah, I think it is. They are. And I've not been on their bandwagon, but I'm on now.
And off to Zigbo. Tackle is made by Darius Clark.
I talked with Scott Frost yesterday, and I described these type of offenses as horizontal offenses. You stretch them sideline to sideline, and then when the defense reacts, then you hit them right up the middle, and that's what they're doing.
Martinez again with all time to throw across the field. That one was nearly picked off. It was close. Vernon Walker III was there. He's played in every game. Hasn't started yet for Bethune Cookman, but he got a good look at this throw.
Yeah, you can see Martinez looking, and he did not see Vernon Walker coming over from his safety position inside out. Could have picked that off.
So the first third down play for Nebraska and an empty back. Pass complete to Morgan, and it's a first down for the Huskers. Ty Peters there on the play. Now Stanley Morgan coming off a Minnesota game where he had a career-high 10 catches last week.
I talked to Troy Walters. I said, this offense, you know, you have Spielman and Morgan, good weapons. He says, we need more. As fast as we run plays, we need more receivers of that caliber to run them in and out of the game.
Spielman in motion. Martinez in Nebraska trying to go Morgan's way off his fingertips, really into kind of double coverage there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, a great job of faking. I thought the back had the ball, to be honest with you, and so did the Bethune Cookman defense, except for their secondary. The secondary played it well, but that was an awful good job of faking.
Trevor Merritt and Elliott Miller there on the coverage for the Wildcats. Hand off to Ozigbo. And it's another Nebraska first down. Devine Ozigbo now over 500 yards for the year. That's the first time in his career that he's achieved that mark. Ozigbo again. Getting a hard block, too, by number 10, J.D. Spielman.
Lisa, as fast as they ran that last play after the first down, that's all by design. They tried to catch Bethune Cookman making substitutions. Scott Frost was somewhat upset that last week they had opportunities to do that and didn't do that. Remember, if the offense substitutes, then the defense is allowed time to get people on. But if the offense doesn't, offense can snap the ball.
2nd and 5. Pass is complete to Spielman. We'll do a T-Mobile studio update with Mike Hall for the first time.
Hi, Lisa and Glenn. Let's update you in Evanston. A couple goal line plunges here. Alec Ingold strikes first for the Badgers and immediately responded by a Clayton Thorson touchdown run. We're knotted up at 7 in the 100th meeting all time between Northwestern and Wisconsin.
Hard to believe. One of the tightly played series, too, in the Big Ten in the recent years. Really kind of gone back and forth and decided by a one score between these two teams. Martinez going end zone. Touchdown, Morgan. His second of the afternoon. 27 yards.
Kind of becoming the Stanley Morgan show here today, and really good job by Martinez. You saw him look to the left, look the safety off, came back to the right, put the ball right on the money.
Morgan, one more look at it.
Yeah, just watch it right here. Little play action fake. He was looking left first and then came back to the right. Well covered, but he still beat him.
Morgan with his 20th touchdown catch of his career. Let's take a look at this message from ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire, the official hiring partner of the Big Ten Conference.
Some job boards give you tons of the wrong resumes. That's not smart. Then there's smart. ZipRecruiter finds people with the right skills, education, and experience for your job and actively invites them to apply, so you get qualified candidates fast. That's why ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. ZipRecruiter, the official hiring partner of the Big Ten Conference. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Big10.
Stanley Morgan has caught fire thanks to his quarterback, too, Adrian Martinez. You see his numbers, over 150 yards here so far, only 3 incomplete passes, and that's the thing that kind of impressed Scott Frost last week. It's just how efficient that his quarterback was. You see Stanley Morgan's numbers here. Morgan really only had 1 touchdown in that Troy game before he picked up a couple last week, and now he's got a couple this week.
Now the challenge for Bethune Cookman is, needless to say, Nebraska's really rolling on offense. So, man, you got to give your defense a little time. You got to pick up at least a couple first downs before you turn the ball over, before you punt it. Bethune Cookman brought a lot of players on this trip. Lisa, they said they had a conference game so they can bring more players. They brought 80 guys.
There's a look at Mick Stoltenberg, the captain. He's playing for the first time. Remember, he missed the last 4 games because of injury. The coaching staff told us that he would get some time. Is spinning out of trouble. And bouncing off a couple of tacklers is Jimmy Robinson. Well, Stoltenberg's so important not only for his presence here on the field, but for his leadership. One of the seniors, a Nebraska native. Started at nose the first 3 games before really missing the last 4 because of injury.
Yeah, he's just outside of Omaha from Gretna. A lot of good players come out of that program, and just a big old Nebraska kid.
We don't expect to see many reps from Stoltenberg here today, as the pass is complete for a first down to Mitchell. And Lamar Jackson again making the play. Lamar Jackson, what a story he has, and how transparent he was this week in opening up to the local media about the challenges that he has had, not only psychologically, but just attitude-wise. And now this coaching staff can't say enough good things about him. The pitch to Jimmy Robinson. And arguably maybe one of their better athletes. Used as kind of that slot back. They've had some injuries. Quayshawn Bird was kind of in that spot, and he's gotten injured, out for the year, and so it'll be Robinson kind of filling the way.
And Bethune Cookman getting it done. They're controlling the ball. They got to get the first down right here. Don't get too fancy. Get another 4 downs.
short for David Israel, who decides to keep it. He'll throw, and that was through the hands of Jackson.
So you go from second less than one to third than less than one. And, you know, Lisa, I'm old-fashioned, but I know these spread offenses, but those things, I like when the quarterback gets right under the center and you run the sneak.
Well, Israel hands off to Robinson that time. And the stop by Stoltenberg. That'll be a first down for Bethune Cookman, and it's their first third down conversion of the day. Remember, this is a team that is playing without their starting quarterback. We mentioned that Israel started the first few games here of this season. Israel will swing it out and connects with Mitchell. Aaron Williams there on the stop.
You know, we both said before, Lisa, that David Israel really isn't a passer. That was really a good pass that he threw out there. Not much of a gain, but it was a good pass.
Had to come in as the backup in the North Carolina A&T game last week. He was just 2 of 8 for 19 yards in that game. Perhaps the final play of the quarter. It will be the final play of the quarter. And we got some movement. We will resume and sort things out when we come back. Nebraska looking to go back-to-back and wins in 2018. It was all Nebraska in the first quarter over Bethune Cookman. A comfortable lead, 28-3 after quarter number 1. 11 first downs in that quarter for the Nebraska offense, just 4 by Bethune Cookman. And the pass is complete to Mitchell. The tackle is made, no gain on that. In fact, a loss for Barry. Well, Barry's already made his presence shown here early in this game.
Yeah, you know, the leading tackler and a bunch of tackles for loss. Good athletic ability. They really rallied to that fire screen like you're supposed to. And Nebraska defense playing pretty well today, with the exception of that one big play, the pass play of 54 yards, which they got out of position on. But
a loss of 4 now brings up 3rd and 11. Israel floats it and connects to his back, Robinson, and lets him go. Breaks off a couple of tacklers across the 25.
Well, Bethune Cookman had exactly the right play at the right time. Nebraska came with the blitz. They came with the screen. There was really nobody out there. The offensive lineman, he just stood there because there was no one to block.
A gain of 26 on that play. And Robinson will get subbed out. Ismie is back in the backfield. Israel nowhere to run, nowhere to go. And chasing him out, Dedrick Young and Lamar Jackson.
Well, as you mentioned, he rolled to his right, but there was no place to go. He was looking to throw the football, but there's no one open. They're playing man coverage, and they undercut the wide receiver with the safety, so good decision by Israel.
Off the hands of Stille. Intercepted. Nebraska football. The pick from Stille, or the chip from Stille, and the pick from Newell. And the black shirts getting it done.
Yeah, that's a weird play right there. Looked like a foul tip. Bell pulled the catcher's mask off to catch that one. But watch it right here. He gets tipped, he gets his head around, and
that was off his helmet.
Yeah.
That was an inadvertent tip.
Newell from Hiawatha, Kansas. Makes another catch like that, he'll want to play wide receiver. That's impressive.
He's a guy who's provided a little bit of depth on the defensive line really every game this year. And this is the worst field position that Nebraska has had off of the turnover. They hand off to Ozigbo, and it's another first down for the Huskers. But the way this offense has been moving, it doesn't matter where they start on these drives. A gain of 11 for Ozigbo. Swings it out to Spielman. And pushed out of downs by Elliott Miller.
You know, Eric Chinander, the defensive coordinator from Nebraska, in our meetings yesterday, made a comment. I agree 100% with him. He said, you know, modern day football, high tempo, spread offenses, statistics really don't mean much. Yardage statistics. It's defense against the score and turnovers. I agree with him.
And a handoff to Ozigbo, who high steps his way upon a couple of tacklers. What a move and what a run for one Devine Ozigbo.
He was high stepping, plural. You're right. Look at that. He gives him the dead leg, then he makes a cut. Here comes another one. And, you know, there's a reason why he's starting to have the year that he's having. Running with passion.
And a flag there right at the 50.
False start. Offense. Number 76. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's your other sophomore tackle, your left tackle, Brendan Hymas. So one penalty called on your right tackle, Farniak. And another penalty called on Hymas. And that's something that really Scott Frost and Nebraska has felt like they've improved upon. They only had 6 penalties last week against Minnesota. But their average this season is not where you want it to be in terms of tops in the country. And Martinez goes down as Ty Peters got him. And Damon Benning is on the field. What do you see about this tempo that we've seen with this offense so far? Mace, did you mute Damon Benning's mic? You guys were fighting in the pregame? Apologize for the technical difficulties. We will get to Damon. And Bethune Cookman getting to Adrian Martinez again. Let's try Damon one more time. What do you see about the pace of this offense?
Yeah, just can't get right down here. They'll reset that to 40, as you know. They're snapping it with about 26 or 27 seconds left. It does a couple of things. Number one, obviously the tempo and the rhythm that the offense can get in, but the enthusiasm from the sidelines and the encouragement has been pretty unbelievable for an opponent like Bethune Cookman. Everybody involved every second of this game.
On 3rd and 22. And it's picked off. They read it perfectly. Ty Peters taking it back the other way, right at the 45. This looked like a different Bethune Cookman defense that entire series.
Well,
the pick and maybe a little bit of momentum. Ty Peters making a difference, reading it and ripping it away from Spielman. Again, picture-perfect weather and some nice scenes here on Nebraska's campus. Second quarter between the Huskers and the Wildcats. That was the first time that Bethune-Cookman's defense has stopped Nebraska. They had 4 straight touchdowns to begin this game. David Israel, the handoff to Tupac Ismay. And you can imagine with the first name Tupac that he has become a fan favorite down in Florida.
I wonder why.
I guess he's more of a Florida hip-hop fan than the California guy.
It's 2nd and 6 from the Bethune 49.
2nd and 5. Under 10 minutes to go in the quarter.
Little confusion from the quarterback to the sideline. David Israel jumping up and down, trying to get the play.
Pressure's coming, and pressure gets there. Mo Berry mowing him down.
Well, he comes off his blind side. He doesn't see him coming, and he didn't have a chance. Good disguise by the Nebraska defense, bringing Berry.
6 total tackles on the afternoon already for Mo Berry. 3rd and 11. And more pressure coming. Israel shrugs it off, trying to make something out of nothing. Almost had it.
If there's been one thing consistent in this game in passing situation, Nebraska's decided to bring the blitz. Very effective there, but you got to make the tackle.
I'll bring up 4th down.
If I'm Bethune Cookman, I'm
not punting to that guy?
I am not going to punt to him. I'm going to punt down to the left, and hopefully the ball goes out around the 10-yard line or better.
It's Hernandez again back to punt. He started this game as the place kicker. And another short punt that will give decent field position again for Nebraska.
23-yard punt by Hernandez. Out of bounds at Nebraska.
Only the journey. Big Ten Football 2018 captures the emotion and drama of the season. Don't miss an all-new episode Tuesday, November 6th, 11 Eastern, right here on BTN. They tell all the behind-the-scenes stories of this football season. Well worth your watch. And let's go, into the basketball season, too, by the way. Just a few weeks away. Hand off to Washington. And again, this was supposed to be, again, the bye week between both of these teams. And you're looking at the tight ends coach for Nebraska, Sean Beckton, who was one of the coaches who followed Scott Frost from UCF to Nebraska, but he was instrumental in trying to get this game scheduled for both of these teams. He's really coached in Florida his entire life. And Terry Sims said that he was on the phone to one of their staff members. Terry Smith ended up hopping on the phone. Coach Frost got on the phone, and then he said at that point it became real, and they turned it over to the administration. And there's a look back on September 1st and the weather that Nebraska had to deal with in that game against Akron. They only got the kickoff, and then the game was eventually canceled.
You know, Bethune Cookman coming up here, obviously they're overmatched, but come from the state of Florida. Anybody that's ever recruited down there knows the wealth of talent, especially skilled players in that state. But what a great opportunity for these kids to come up and play Memorial Stadium in front of this crowd.
Complete. It was intended for Reimers. Elliott Miller there on the coverage. Oh, he popped it up and then caught it himself. At least that's the call right now.
The ruling on the field was a pass completion. That ruling is under further review.
I'm with you, Lisa. I thought it was incomplete, but let's watch it.
Down on the ground, and then makes the catch while he's on the ground.
Well, we don't have the view, but that official on that side had it. Right on the spot.
Bill Algie is our replay official. Dan Capron is your referee that you've seen. It would be a gain of 9 if the call stands or is confirmed.
I'm not sure I saw anything there that would overturn it. Basically, it was called completed on the field.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is a catch. Second down.
So points of difficulty going to Brian Reimers on this play.
Yeah. Great concentration on his part. It was a poorly thrown ball because he was wide open, but Gabe Martinez looked good.
Martinez now 13 of 17 passing. Back to throw again, lofts it up, pass is complete. Jack Stoll tripped up. And Trevor Merritt just saved a touchdown.
Yeah, Scott Frost is saying, come on, Jack, pick your feet up, man. You know the guy's going to be diving for you.
More of this tempo offense that they've talked about. Again, 90 to 100 plays would be ideal for Nebraska's offense here today. Martinez pulls it. That was tipped away by Vernon Walker.
Well, we talked about before, and we've seen it. When you get everybody under coverage worrying about defending the run and you pop a tight end down the middle, if you got your eyes the wrong place and you're a defensive back, you're in a world of hurt. Tempo slowed down a little bit, Lisa.
It has play clock at about 6. Martinez with the handoff, chasing the edge. Knocked hard, a Nebraska touchdown. Mo Washington, 8 yards for the score.
Well, they got to the edge, but Bethune Cookman didn't make it easy. Old Mo Washington, he'll take a hit as he's going into the end zone.
Ty Peters is the one who made the contact right at the goal line.
It looked like the Cornhuskers was blocking him right into his own man there. Good job
Ruling
up
on
front.
the field.
Look
Touchdown.
at the job, but
Under
tight
review.
end blocking.
And Stanley Morgan there with a block too.
I think he's inside the pylon. Well inside it. See it right here? There's the pylon.
Where does the ball cross the goal line?
Ball's in his left hand. Oh, I think he's in. I'm saying touchdown.
After review, the ruling on the field of a touchdown stands as called.
Washington with a touchdown, almost 50 yards here on the day. I mentioned he had his first career 100-yard game last week. He's halfway there already today.
Everybody had 100 last week. Zigbo, Washington.
3 of them.
Martinez.
If you're counting. Pickering with the extra point. A 35-3 advantage for the home team. 326 yards of total offense for the Huskers and another touchdown. Happy bunch of Husker fans here so far. It has been all Nebraska in this first half, a 35-3 edge. Martinez already above 200 passing yards. Ozigbo about 80 rushing yards. And Washington, I mentioned, he's got about 50 rushing yards. Jimmy Robinson back to receive, won't get the opportunity. And on that last touchdown call that was confirmed or stood for Maurice Washington, we bring in rules analyst Dick Honig. What did you see on that play?
Well, when he went up in the air, I believe the ball got inside the pylon, which would make it a touchdown. It doesn't matter. As long as the ball crosses that plane, it's a touchdown. But I think I probably would have let the play stand only because we don't have a down-the-line view.
Hey, Dick, I know it's not reviewable, but do you think Stanley Morgan got away with a hold there?
I think a pretty good size hold, yes.
And a little bit of a shove, too, Morgan. That was holding Ty Peters, and Peters is the one who ran right into Washington. Thank you, Dick Honig. And the carry by Isaac Washington. You know, even though it might not have been totally, completely legal by Stanley Morgan, that was one thing that last week this offense and the coaches were happy with, is the fact that you had running backs blocking, you had receivers blocking downfield.
It's only illegal if they throw a flag.
That's a good point. But making some of the unselfish plays so some of the other players can get some of the headlines. Israel on the handoff to Isaac Washington. So we've seen Ismie and Washington and Robinson and Wilson. We've seen all four running backs here for Bethune-Cookman.
And we talked about some of those offensive players that are having a day, but Mohamed Barry's having quite a day on defense, isn't he?
You know, they gave them the day off on Monday because this was going to be their normal bye week. A lot of the players took the day off, but not Mo Berry. He came in on Monday and did an arm workout. It was weight training day for him. On 3rd and short, we got a whistle before the play.
Prior to the snap, charge timeout. Bethune-Cookman, their first.
Bethune-Cookman with the timeout, and we will take a TO as well. Mo Berry, what a day he's having.
Yeah, leading tackler coming in. This game's not even halftime yet. Already has 8 tackles and 3 tackles for loss. Big day for number 7.
Leads the team in tackles for the season. And those 8 tackles, not only leading his team, game high 8 tackles. On 3rd and 2, and another flag, a couple of them. 3 of them, as a matter of fact.
Normally that means false start.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense. Number 76 and others. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
And others, yeah. Luckily you only get 1 penalty.
On that left side, those were the others.
When you see that a lot of times, you know what it means? The center forgot to snap the ball.
Well, went from a 3rd and 2 now to a 3rd and 7. Bethune-Cookman now 2 of 6 on 3rd downs here today.
Nebraska had been pressuring this situation. Looks like they're going to play zone.
With pressure coming, and over the shoulder grab by Francois.
Yeah, they played man, but they didn't pressure.
Francois has been a player that started to come on really the last 3 games. Played in the last 5 after not playing in the first 3 of the year.
I mentioned Bethune-Cookman's, needless to say, overmatched, but they've got athletes, and they're a well-coached football team. You can see it.
Swings it out wide again. That time it's John Thomas. The ball is loose and it's picked up. Deontay Williams with the scoop.
Well, that was a turnover, but I'm going to tell you, I was wrong about David Israel, the scouting report, because that was a perfectly thrown ball. A long way from the hash all the way to the wide side of the field, right on the money. That ball's definitely out.
That's JoJo Doman, who popped it loose, by the way. He had been converted really to an outside linebacker position this week. And the second Bethune Cookman turnover. Martinez hands it off to Zigbo.
Be interesting to see how the Cornhuskers work the clock here. 2:30 left in the half.
Interesting too, if Nebraska can keep this comfortable lead, it'll be interesting to see how Scott Frost handles some of these starters. You know, ideally for this coaching staff, they'd like to see some of the backups, some 2s and 3s possibly here coming up in the second half.
Especially a second-team quarterback.
And the handoff again to Ozigbo. Noah Vedral is available now. You see him there, number 16.
We just got eligibility from the NCAA, and defensive coordinator didn't like it. He says, best scout team quarterback we had. Then he's eligible and we don't have him anymore.
He's a transfer from UCF. And man, you talk about someone who has impressed Scott Frost. Vedral is one of those guys, of course, a legacy guy. He's got family that's played in this program, and he followed Coach Frost from UCF to Nebraska. And chances are good we will see him in the second half. Handoff, there's room to move. Ozigbo, who already has one score here on the afternoon, and Duque making the play.
Oh, man, I love these plays. Just think, if you're a defender, not only you have a good running back, look at these big guys pulling out there, coming around the horn to get you. Big Foster, he's only 6'3", 335 pounds. And you're a defensive back that's got to take him on.
And Devine Ozigbo already over 100 yards. 4 plays already gone Ozigbo's way. The pass is connected to Morgan. And the tackle made by Elliott Miller. As Nebraska continues to chew up the final few minutes of this first half on this drive. And that fast pace has now gone.
Well, they'd like to score with no time on the clock. You'll see a timeout if this one doesn't work, if it's a running play.
Washington's in the backfield. Martinez patient, waiting. Now scrambling. Martinez to the end zone. To the back of the end zone. He was looking towards Brian Reimer's way. And Henry Miller was there on the coverage.
Yeah, it becomes a broken play, and the key thing for Bethune Cookman to do a good job is stay in coverage. He was going to risk it down here.
To backfield for Martinez on 3rd and 2. Pocket collapsing. Martinez lets it fly. It was off the hands of Reimers. Incomplete. And again, Henry Miller's there.
Yeah, if you bring pressure and you're in an empty backfield with just the quarterback, you know you got to get rid of it because there's not enough people to pick it up. They're going to settle for the field goal.
17 seconds to go, a 35-3 lead. 24-yard attempt for Barrett Pickering. A delay of game, they'll move him back.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
See, that becomes a real teaching moment. From this distance, that's not a big factor, but let's say it took it from a 40-yard field goal to a 45 or 45 to a 50. Absolutely could have been critical. Someone not paying attention on the sideline.
Still not even a 30-yard attempt, but you're right. 29 yards here for Pickering. Kick is up, and kick is good. 38-3. We will take a quick 30-second timeout. We'll be back. Stay tuned for the Discover Halftime Report. Mike Hall, Stanley Jackson, Chuck Long will be all along with our Chicago studios to get you caught up on everything in the Big Ten today. We're keeping our eye on that Northwestern Wisconsin score. The Wildcats, I'm sure they'll talk about it at halftime. The Wildcats leading the Badgers right now.
Tied up in East Lansing, too. Purdue and Spartans.
Will be another touchback. And one more time, this Wildcat offense will go to work with 12 seconds to play in the half.
Everybody always says, what do you do here? Well, you got 12 seconds left, and you're just going to take a knee. You're down 38-3. It's hard to do, but I mean, I don't know what the odds would be of taking at the distance with 13 seconds left, but you sure don't want to throw an interception, fumble the ball, give the Huskers another score right before half.
Yeah, well, Bethune Cookman, as you see, they'll receive the second half kick. They deferred at the start of the game, so 12 seconds here to work with. And a handoff to the big bruiser, Ladarian Wilson, but Stilley is there on the play. Wilson's kind of your bruiser and your pounder as the running back, and he gets the final carry and the final play of this first half. The Husker crowd is happy with half number one and what they've seen from the home team. A comfortable 38-3 advantage. Stay tuned for the Discover Halftime Report. Mike, Stanley, and Chuck are coming up next.
On fall Saturdays, the Sea of Red magically forms in Lincoln. For those who can't frequent the festivities, fear not, for word of good news is spread via the special telegram in the sky.
Postcards from Fansville, sponsored by Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. Of course, the balloon release after the first touchdown. One of the Husker traditions going back to the Bob Devaney years. They only had to wait really 2.5 minutes before Divine Ozigbo scored the 14-yard touchdown. And there go the balloons into the air and into the blue skies. A beautiful day in Lincoln, Nebraska for a little football.
It absolutely is a beautiful day. And, you know, I'll tell you one thing. If you're looking out here, if you don't have red on today, you're a visitor. Because everybody wears red to these games.
I was going to say that's usually the case for every game in Lincoln, Nebraska.
No doubt about it. Go Big Red.
Well, big numbers for those guys you see there on the sideline. And this defense holding a Bethune Cookman offense to just 3 points in the first half. The Wildcats only crossing midfield twice. And the third drive that was stalled at the 50.
Great opportunity for these kids for Bethune Cookman. I remember when I was at Kent State a long time ago, and I took my team down to play the University of Florida in the swamp about 1986, and I remember them talking about it. You know, they talked about not getting an opportunity week in and week out to play in a Big Ten environment, SEC environment, and be able to do that maybe one time in their career, really something special.
Well, let's check in with our sideline reporter, Damon Benning. Damon, what do you got?
I got a chance to catch up with both coaches. A little different perspective from each side. Coach Sims really wanted to focus on the positives that they had in the second quarter defensively and what they felt like was a little bit of success slowing down Nebraska. Coach Frost, unusually optimistic for just half the game, said that he wanted to get a lot of fresh faces in and take a look at guys like Bunch and Vedral and see if he could continue to be efficient on offense. They like that 8.9 yards per play. That's a measuring stick in the second half.
Well, Damon, yeah, thank you very much. All of Bethune-Cookman's team a little bit late here in getting out of the locker room. That's the reason for the delay to start this second half. And touchback after touchback for Nebraska this afternoon.
Nebraska has, or correction, Bethune Cookman has first and...
What do you want to see from this defense in the second half, Mace?
Well, you know, the thing that I thought that if there was to be a criticism, I mentioned about that one pass, but they came into it, and on third down, they decided that they were going to pressure Bethune Cookman, which put them in man-to-man coverage on the back end. And I thought that they were really vulnerable in a lot of situations there. Talking to their coaches, they said they'd like to play more man-to-man, but they don't really think they're up to that yet.
Yeah, Eric Shenander saying that, but then saying, obviously, we've gotten burned in games like the Northwestern game, and we've struggled with man-to-man coverage. And Bethune Cookman's going to get a delay of game as the play clock goes down to 0 if they're not careful. Just got it off. And, I mean, that was tight as David Israel with the carry. So a little bit of a disorganized start here for the visitors.
Yeah, they were late coming out of the locker room, as you mentioned. And
a handoff to Tupac Ismay, trying to keep his head up. Now watch the first play with the play clock ticking down. Looks like that's at 0 before the snap happens.
Fans very knowledgeable. They expect a 3 and out here, and you got to stop them right here on a 3rd and 2.
Israel this time back to throw on the slant. Pass is complete to Mitchell, who's still fighting for some yards. DiCaprio Boodle was the first on the tackle, a gain of 18, but that's something that you saw last week. Minnesota had success on that slant.
Yeah, the slant play really hurt them on that play. And, you know, the last play right there, they brought the linebackers that puts them in man coverage. They could have made some adjustments. They finally did in the second half against Minnesota, but
fakes the handoff. Nearly intercepted. Went off to a couple of hands. Dedrick Young tried to finalize the play and couldn't quite haul it in.
Well, everybody runs the slant play in the spread offense, but I'm sure they watched the film last week, the Minnesota game. They saw how many times that worked, especially to Tyler Johnson for Minnesota.
It was intended for Francois, who, by the way, is having a career high 65 reception yards in the first half on just 2 catches. Tupac's going to get another carry, and he's got a first down for Bethune Cookman. Dedrick Young making the play.
Well, this is not the way the Cornhuskers anticipated starting the second half, and Damon's point that Coach Frost was uncharacteristically optimistic. He's probably not too upbeat right now.
Again to Ismay. And Mohamed Berry with the tackle. Tupac Ismay is a junior. He started every game except Mississippi Valley State. Was named a 3rd-team preseason All-MEAC. And again, one of the 4 backs that this offense uses. He started every game here this year that he's played in. Israel again with some time to throw. Off the hands of John Thomas. Dedrick Young there on the coverage.
Yeah, good coverage by the linebacker, Dedrick Young, but you know, you got to credit the Bethune Cookman offensive line because they're doing a pretty fair job against this Cornhusker defensive line, giving Israel time to throw the football.
Brings up 3rd and 4.
Will they blitz again?
No pressure coming on that play. Pass is complete to Mitchell, who fights his way to the 10-yard line. A gain of 16. That's the 5th 3rd down conversion by Bethune Cookman.
Without a doubt, the best job of Bethune Cookman's offense, executing their offense. Right now, making it look easy.
Israel now rolling out. Got nowhere to go. Chasing him out was Dedrick Young.
Cornhuskers definitely have a problem on third down today, Lisa. All defensive coaches call that the money down. You know, that's when you really got to get your payday and get the ball back for your offense, and Cornhuskers just aren't getting it done today.
Second and goal. Best drive of the day resulted in a field goal. Bethune Cookman looking to punch it in this time. And a flag on the play.
False start. Offense. Number 57. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That's Dwayne Brown, the right guard. You see him there jumping. He's one of their best linemen, too.
Big guy from Indianapolis.
The only returning starter here on this team. 10th play of this drive. And the longest drive of the day so far for Bethune Cookman. Israel pulls it. He's got nowhere to go. The tackle is made by Gifford.
Well defended there. Bethune Cookman goes with the zone read. He gets the pull read. He goes to take it out the back there. You can see he's reading number 12 right there, but guess who's right on the spot to make sure he can't turn the corner? Bo Barry. We got to hurry here.
The play clock is down to 5. Israel looking to the sideline. He's got a force to call a timeout. There was 1 second left on the play clock. So we will take a timeout.
Immediate timeout.
Well, Bethune Cookman had to call a timeout. What do you call here, Mace?
Well, you know, you've been lighting me up pretty consistently on third down, and last time I anticipated you came with the blitz and I ran the screen. It worked, so I'm going with the screen again. Write it down.
Three straight third down conversions on this drive. Israel is back to throw, getting chased by Gifford. Still chased by Gifford. He brings him down. What a play, Luke Gifford.
Should have gone with the screen. Yeah. No place to throw, and you nailed it. Luke Gifford did not give up on it. 6'4", 245 right here from Lincoln. He moves pretty well.
Second Nebraska sack of the day. Luke Gifford runs pretty well. Yeah, he leads the team in sacks and tackles for loss. And that'll bring up Hernandez.
Flag on the play.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still fourth down.
You would guess that maybe they're backing up to give Hernandez a little bit more room deliberately.
Well, that was their best offensive drive of the game, let's face it, and then have to end up in a punt is very discouraging. They self-destructed, didn't even get a chance at a field goal, so.
It was a loss of 21 on that sack. And Hernandez high and short. And that takes a Bethune Cookman roll. Really good punt there from Hernandez. They'll be up against it for this Nebraska offense. Tonight on BTN, don't miss a big-time showdown in the nation's best volleyball conference in 6th-ranked Illinois and number 9 Nebraska. Big Ten volleyball powered by American Ethanol. Tonight at 8 Eastern right here on BTN and the Fox Sports app. Nebraska volleyball against Illinois. That is John Cook against his former assistant, Chris Thomas. Well, the second unit right now out for Nebraska, and that's the first carry and the first play of his Nebraska career for Noah Vedral.
I'm not surprised that Noah Vedral's in there. I'm really surprised that they went with the second-team offensive line, especially coming off your own 5-yard line.
Yeah, you would think if you're going to pull Adrian Martinez, you see him there with the headset on, you would keep some of the mainstays there on the offensive line. There's the handoff to Wyatt Mazur. And we knew that we would see some 2s and some 3s. I actually, personally, Mace, I thought they would go through one series with the starters in this second half.
Yeah, I did, especially the way that the defense struggled. Now, they ended up preventing a score by Bethune Cookman, but I'm really surprised we're seeing the whole second unit now.
Oh, a flag. And this might be some movement and experience here on the Nebraska offensive line.
Offense, number 50. 5-yard penalty, still third down.
That's John Raridan on the left side of your screen. He's the left guard, number 50.
Yeah, he just moves a little bit, a little nervous. Had a lot of practice time, not a lot of playing time.
He saw his first action against Wisconsin.
And there's a big difference, I want to tell you.
I understand. A huge difference. Well, quite a predicament to put your second-team offense in when they're up against their own end zone, by the way, their own goal line. Javon McQuitty is in there, a wide receiver. You see lots of different names. I hope you brought page 2 and page 3 of your roster, Glenn Mason, because we're going to go that deep probably today.
Well, we'll do the best we can.
The first 3 and out for Nebraska this afternoon. Kevon Mitchell back to receive for Bethune Cookman, and he lets it go, but did he touch it? And they're going to roll it down. Stovall picking it up right at the 18-yard line. And I think this fan base wanted to say,
did he touch it?
Did he touch it?
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 21. The penalty will be enforced half the distance from the end of the kick. First down.
Penalty called on Ty Peters, but the question is, did Mitchell touch it? One more look.
I would say he did not.
And I would agree with you, Mace. A 73-yard punt, by the way. That's a career long for Isaac Armstrong. And this play was being looked at by the replay officials upstairs with us. Darian Wilson in the backfield. Pass is deflected by JoJo Doman. Got a paw on it. Doman, I mentioned, has made that kind of that position switch, though I say that kind of very delicately because they like to use him as a physical safety first, but the outside linebacker position and the nickel spot in this Nebraska defense are kind of interchangeable.
Tapia Budo almost got that tip.
Israel, and a wide open receiver. And a chunk of yardage for Francois again. So he's having a career day, continues his career day.
Man, you talk about wide open, plus they hit him out of bounds. Officials normally really tough on that. It wasn't a vicious hit, but didn't have to hit him.
Israel hands it off to Wilson. Wilson's still going.
Carries on number 27, Ladarian Wilson.
Mo Berry, as good of a day that he has had, missed the tackle on that play. It's a gain of 16.
We talked about the substitutions on offense, but this is not the second team defense in there.
Dedrick Young making the play. So what's the decision making on that? That you still go with the ones on defense and you go with the twos on offense?
Well, the thing about it is if you keep your defense in there and they're stopping the offense and you've got a lead like 38-3, if the offense messes up, you're still okay.
Rolling out, it's Israel. Pass was intended for Harper.
And you know, there is a mentality. Once you take guys out, like you've taken the offense out, and you put the second team in, if things don't go well, you say, well, just put the first team guys back in. Sometimes they don't have the same mentality they did when they're actually playing, and you can't just jump start them and get them going again.
Empty backfield now for Bethune Cookman on 3rd and 8. Israel again getting chased. That's Stoltenberg trying to chase him down, and it's Tanner who eventually runs him outside. And a flag on the play.
Personal foul. Defense, number 21. Defense, number 21. Penalty is enforced half the distance to the goal with an automatic first down.
That's Lamar Jackson.
I didn't see what he did.
And as clean as a football game as Nebraska had played last week. Again, some penalties that I'm sure they'd like to clean up from this game. Israel again back to throw. Pressure coming, and they got him. Ben Stille all over it.
Yeah, he does a good job. You can't give up contain. You see him rushing through the tackle, and he makes a critical mistake, not putting his hand up, but leaving his feet. Luckily, he got down on the ground real quick and made the play.
Second and 19. More pressure coming. And the pass is deflected. Deontay Williams making the play. Williams, another one of those sophomores, his first year really playing at Nebraska. He'll have 3 years left. Watch him here.
Yeah, this is a lot better job. You see there's a lot of red shirts there in the middle and trying to work that inside with the slant where it's been open before. No such play there. Well, they've got a one-high safety, and he is really high.
To the end zone. Intercepted. Deontay Williams. The second pick for Nebraska today.
This was an excellent job of disguise by the Cornhusker defense. I talked about the one high safety. Well, on the snap, he went over the top. They were trying to bait him into throwing the fade. The other safety went back to the deep middle and made the interception.
Legendary coach Tom Osborne. We are in Lincoln, Nebraska for a bye week game between Bethune Cookman and Nebraska. And again, the second string offense back out there. It's been an interesting story offensively, at least in this second half. Bethune Cookman, 20 plays, over 100 yards. Nebraska had a 3-and-out, Mace.
Yeah, it was probably some people saying about done it. Miles Jones in the backfield, they put him in motion. How many people have been asking us about Miles Jones since we've been here?
Every single person in red has. As Vedro goes down, it's a sack for Kevin Thompson and Bethune Cookman. Well, we've discussed that the twos are out for the offense, the one's still out for the defense. What's your take on it, Damon Benny?
I think a lot of it is philosophical with Nebraska, especially on defense, because they substitute playing as many as 7 or 8 defensive linemen, and they kind of combo their secondary, so they sub almost by position within the defense. And let's just take a look at the stats. At 5.2 yards per play, the defense really hasn't earned the right yet to take the day off. The way the number 2 offense is, they may not have earned the right to continue to be on the field if they continue at this clip.
Yeah, well, Damon, I know that you know the Vedral family awfully well, too, as we see Vedral in this offense kind of trot off. But you played with a couple of his family members here.
Yeah, Dad Mike and his uncle Matt was our quarterback. And I tell you, it's an athletic family, high football IQ, and one of the guys that they think runs this system almost as well as Martinez.
As the time ticks away here in the third quarter. And Mitchell will just let it roll. Inside the 20, a good punt. Another good one for Isaac Armstrong. And we will take a break. It's a double-digit tackle day for Mo Berry, making the right play, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans.
Man, that guy has been all over the field. Leading tackler coming into this game, and he didn't do anything to diminish that today.
11 tackles to lead all players here in this game, and he's out with the helmet off, which means, as we look on the field, that really it's the number 2 defense now that's out for Nebraska. There's a flag on this play. Meanwhile, the number 1 offense still is out there for Bethune Cookman.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Number 76 on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
That's Cedric Jackson. Let's bring in Damon Benning and tell us about some of the faces here defensively that you have your eye on.
Yeah, to the 2 inside linebackers in particular, Jacob Weinmaster and Colin Miller, who we talked about Colin Miller yesterday. They'd really like to see reps. And then out at the corner spot, Mr. Clark and Lee Jr. kind of type out the new unit. But you'll see a lot of the familiar faces along the D-line. They've been playing all game long with 7.
Well, Eric Lee made that effort tackle play on the kick return against Minnesota last week. Let's have a T-Mobile studio update with Mike Hall.
Well, Lisa, Northwestern's been making a run recently with comeback wins, but they're just trying to get ahead early in this game against Wisconsin. Kyrick McGowan from 24 yards out just stays in bounds. The Cats lead halfway through the third by 11.
All right, really a number 1 versus number 1 matchup there in the West. And Nebraska keeping an eye on that, but 4 teams tied at least in the loss column in the West Division. Israel will keep it. Chase breaking off a couple tackles.
Well, you saw Colin Miller, number 31, the guy that Damon was just talking about, in good position. He needs to wrap that quarterback up inside out. And good position, just didn't make the play.
Braxton Clark. With really kind of the 4 main corners that get some time for Nebraska. He's getting some time as well. He's kind of that 5th corner.
Here's another 3rd down situation that's been a thorn in their side all day.
Israel will hand off, and right about it is Khalil Davis, the older brother of the Davis brothers.
Carlos Davis, Khalil Davis.
Try to keep them straight. They're 5 minutes apart.
Blue Springs, Missouri made a good play there. Those second teamers will be going over there telling Coach Frost, you've been playing the wrong guys on defense all day. We can get you off the field on third down. Now you laugh, but don't think they don't say that sometimes, Lisa.
Hernandez has struggled to get some distance on his punts here today. And again, that takes a Nebraska hop. Look at that. This number 2 offense going to start in Bethune Cookman territory.
27-yard punt by Hernandez.
I mentioned basketball's right around the corner. How about November 6th? BTN tips off with 2 games. Indiana hosts Chicago State. Then Michigan taking on Norfolk State. Big Ten basketball returns November 6th here on BTN and, of course, on the Fox Sports app. Do you call them short pants like Jerry DiNardo does?
No. I was an athlete. I played basketball also in high school.
As well as football.
And Jerry from Howard Point, Long Island, or wherever he's from, he called him short pants because he wasn't a good enough athlete to do that.
That's the end of the third quarter.
And with that, we'll put a period and head to the fourth. Here's your game summary. Adrian Martinez, those numbers that you see are just all happening in the first half. 4 different Nebraska players with a touchdown. By the way, we didn't have a score for either one of these teams in the third quarter.
Yeah, you know, the one thing you talked about Adrian Martinez, one thing we didn't see on him today is running the football. They didn't have a lot of called runs for him.
Well, the Huskers ran 7 offensive snaps in that third quarter. And again, it's the number 2 offense that's out there for Nebraska. Vernon Walker with the push to Noah Vedral. Played in 6 games in UCF. But you can just tell, I mean, sometimes it's not just the words, but it's the actions and the reaction from Scott Frost when he talks about Vedral. As he hands off to Mazur, a spin move all the way to the 20.
Yeah, you know, we talked about, when I talked to him about Martinez, he said when they were at UCF, they scoured the country, and Martinez was the guy that they wanted, and weren't sure they could get him, but they knew they could get him here after they took the job here.
That's the first Nebraska first down of the second half, by the way. That he's obviously happy about Martinez, but he raises his eyebrows because he is so impressed when he talks about Noah Vedral.
Yeah, same type of guy. Perfect fit for this offense.
Vedral will pull. It looks like he was looking to run. He now will have to. Scramble, he's getting chased with pressure and just has to throw it away. Todney Evans providing some of that pressure. Second team All-MEAC last year, and Devin James also there.
You call it pressure, I call it running for your life. Man, he had a bunch of guys after him. Going backwards and just throwing it out of bounds.
Brings up second and 10 for the Huskers. Wildcats on the yard line.
Jerron Woodyard is your receiver at the bottom part of your screen. Vedral will keep it. Vedral's thinking end zone, dives for the end zone. Touchdown! The first of his Nebraska career.
Lisa, I was really impressed again on the faking ability. Vedral faked to the back, and then he kept the football, but you couldn't help but take your eyes off the back. A couple of the linebackers went that way. That's good coaching.
Kurt Rafdahl, too, with the key block on that play. Again, we've talked about Nebraska making unselfish plays with their receivers and some of their backs, and Vedral diving for the pylon. 5 plays, 36 yards, about a minute and a half's time here to start this fourth quarter. Pickering. Give it on the extra point. Noah Vedral, welcome to Lincoln. And welcome to the end zone. Nebraska still with a big edge. first touchdown of the second half. Nebraska with a big lead, 45-3. Glenn Mason and Lisa Byington with you. It was a slow go of it with the #2 offense here to start this second half, but the fourth quarter start was pretty good.
Yeah, you know, I was surprised that Coach Frost put the whole second unit in there, especially on the field. And then they didn't do very well, but he stayed with them, and he's accomplishing what he wants, getting the down-the-line guys some reps, especially Noah Vidrell.
And off of the kickoff, and still without a touchdown, is this Bethune Cookman offense.
14 yards inbound return.
They could have used, as I said, Noah Vidrell. Just got the waiver from the NCAA. Of course, Adrian Martinez was hurt, did not play that whole game against Troy. He was hurt late in the game against Colorado. And it's funny how a season can have a domino effect. You go back to the reason why we're playing this game, the cancellation of that Akron game. Scott Frost has said he really feels like if they played that game and won that game, it would have built some momentum to the season that was just lacking to this point.
Well, they get that game canceled. They played the second game against Colorado, a really good Colorado team.
And they played well. Had an opportunity to win the game. We're leading all the way through the final minutes.
Absolutely, and you hear all coaches say the biggest improvement in a team is normally between game 1 and game 2. Colorado had a first game. Nebraska didn't. Was that the difference in the win compared to the loss?
Scott Frost has even said, I think it might have even just been after that Northwestern game that went overtime, that this team is just kind of finding new ways to fall short in football games. Israel with a handoff in a big hole to Washington.
Ball carried by number 34, Isaac Washington.
Rain schedule, so Ohio State has the bye week, and the Buckeyes just get to sit and watch this one against another couple of underranked teams, and then they finish off the regular season against Iowa. How many wins can they pick up in that final stretch?
Yeah, they can win them all.
You just want to get out of town here safely.
They can lose them all, too.
Well, this is an Ohio State team that certainly coming off of that Purdue loss, and then they have plenty of time now to try to fix some woes, especially in the rush offense and some defensive deficiencies for the Buckeyes that we saw in that game against the Boilermakers.
Yeah, they're facing a wounded animal in the Buckeyes. It'll be all business, and I'm sure they can't wait to play another football game.
Mike Williams is back to receive for Nebraska. And that one will go out of bounds. 12 minutes to play in this one. All Nebraska. Football on BTN is brought to you in part by State Farm. Here to help life go right. Talk to a State Farm agent today. We are in the fourth quarter. A matchup between Bethune Cookman, 4-4 in the MEAC against Nebraska, looking for win number 2, looking to go back-to-back here in 2018. And they swing it out wide to Miles Jones. There's a little bit of the speed that I think that Nebraska fans wanted to see and were anxious to see, a gain of 21.
Yeah, when you just watch a guy like right there and all of a sudden you say, he's fast. You can tell. I don't know what he runs, but it's fast.
Mikhail Wilbon, too, by the way, in the backfield for Nebraska. Now they had to come back to try to get that one, and it was Miles Jones who had to cut back to try to meet the pass by Vidrell.
He's coming back for the ball. You see 2 defenders on one guy short and no one on anybody deep. That's a bust in the coverage.
And off the hands of Jones that time. He's a freshman. Didn't get in the Minnesota game last week. He had his helmet on. He was in the huddles. Fans have been waiting to see him. He dislocated his shoulder early in the year. That put him behind But they're excited about him. They just said he's got to get in the weight room to get a little bit stronger.
Yeah, that pass was right where you'd like it, right in front, so he doesn't have to break his stride.
And the pocket collapsing. The ball is loose. Vedral let it pop loose. And it's John Raridan who recovered. But it's Kevin Thompson who provided the pressure. And Vedral with the fumble.
Can't hold the ball that long. That's what Scott will tell him. You got it to a certain point, and then you just got to either throw it away or put it down and run with it.
Isaac Armstrong still back to punt. But all kinds of just valuable time that these backups are getting for Nebraska here today. Fair catch call made. 10 and a half to play in the fourth.
34 yards before it's fair caught.
Coming up next on BTN, the doubleheader continues. Illinois takes on Maryland in College Park. Big Ten football powered by American Ethanol today at 3:30 Eastern right here on BTN. And look at this. You will see not one, but 4 players over 400 yards rushing this year.
This defense has better buckle it on.
We got a change at quarterback. Jabari Dunn, number 9. First play of the game gets taken down. Matt Jarzinska getting some playing time and making the big play.
I'm not sure what that play was, but I'm sure it wasn't designed that way. He takes the snap, he runs into the running back. And I'm sure he was supposed to fake to the running back and then throw it out to the wide receiver on the bubble screen, but didn't have time to do that.
This is the backup's time to shine on the Nebraska side. And the pass is deflected that time by Guy Thomas. And Jabari Dunham, a transfer out of UT Martin. Doesn't get a whole lot of playing time. We were actually told that he was getting some work as a receiver here this week. Again, Bethune Cookman playing without Kevius Williams, who was supposed to be their starting quarterback. He's out with an injury. Pass play and off the hands there of Alfred Adams. Our T-Mobile studio update, Mike Hall.
Well, Lisa, it is close out in East Lansing. Spartans up by 10, and it's time for the Boilermakers to make a play. Bryson Hopkins, a 30-yard gain, just shy of the goal line. Terry Wright pops it in. That's the first touchdown of the day for Purdue. They're about to head to the fourth quarter. It's a 3-point game.
All right, well, thanks, Mike. As good of a win as it was for Purdue against Ohio State, they have a tough schedule ahead at Michigan State today. They still have to play a ranked Iowa team and a Wisconsin team. Third straight 3-and-out for Bethune Cookman. And Mike Williams back there for Nebraska. Who else is going to get a rep for the Husker offense?
Well, I don't know how many offensive guys are dressed, but they got about 130 players all told dressed, and a few more sitting in the stands, so.
And, you know, this is a game that the Nebraska coaching staff really felt like they pushed with the new redshirt rule, where you could still play a player for 4 games and any 4 games that you choose here throughout the year, and you can still preserve his redshirt. A lot of creativity going in with that new rule. And you know what? Andre Hunt wasn't even thinking catch. He was thinking block.
Yeah. The defensive back thought he was going to get blocked, too.
Mazur had a couple of nice runs. Little number 37 making his way up the field. Kevin Thompson making the tackle. A walk-on player who has earned a scholarship. First carries of his career in that Michigan game. He's got a couple looks here today. Mazur again. And he's got a Nebraska first down. He's going to be ruled down there on the field.
I see they got another center in there. Hunter Miller, an offensive lineman, a freshman, so elbow down.
Swings it out wide. Katarian Legrone. That's another player. As much as we heard about Miles Jones, we know that Husker fans are excited here about number 12, one of the top tight end prospects. And we know that this offense has been very favorable to the tight end.
A little off the mark.
You know, off the hands of Hunt.
You know, Lisa, to your point you mentioned before about, you know, the 4-game redshirt rule, which all coaches are in favor of. It really needs, they're all doing it a little bit different as far as managing a 4-game playing schedule for these players without burning their red shirt.
Case in point for Legrone, by the way, this will be his first game that he's played this year. And in his career, Mazur with a nice little take.
Yeah, well, he couldn't believe his eyes on that one because that was a huge hole.
Wildcats 36.
And all the Huskers want to do is try to chew up some time. But Vedral goes out of bounds. Chasing him was Vernon Walker. Wyatt Mazur on this drive, 3 carries for 44 yards.
You know, I asked Scott Frost about the number of Nebraska players. I thought that there wasn't as many as I was used to seeing for Nebraska, and he agreed. They're going very active with their walk-on recruitment program.
Vedral across the middle, it's intercepted. Picked off by Donald Johnson, who runs out of bounds to stop the clock. 7 minutes to play. Bethune Cookman will get right back at it. Yeah, you're right about that. We got 7 minutes to play here in Lincoln, Nebraska. 45-3. Bethune Cookman has yet to get a touchdown here today. Field goal came in the first half. Yeah, that's a pretty good sign. Even Rocky wants Adrian?
I think so. You know, the thing about it, they've been able to execute. They just can't sustain the whole drive.
Trevor Gear in the backfield for Bethune Cookman. And he takes the handoff. And this is a Bethune Cookman team, 500 in the MEAC. 500 overall coming into today, but an opportunity here. They had never played a member of the Big Ten Conference, and this is the largest crowd they'll play in front of in program history.
They've struggled at times, but they have not been intimidated. I think they've handled the atmosphere well.
88,735, your official attendance mark here today. Again, the 366th consecutive sellout. And there's a flag here on the play.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
And most of them have stayed, too. We were talking about in the first half that 8 times technically Memorial Stadium will be full this year, but they will only be counting 7 because they won't be counting the Akron game as one and this game as one. They tried to honor the student tickets and the season tickets to cross over from the Akron game to the game here today. got down with his jersey. So you've got a couple of teams in Nebraska in particular, you think you're going to have the bye week. And so what do you do on a bye week? Well, you schedule a wedding, right? Because you're not going to have a football game. Nebraska athletic director Bill Moose, his daughter scheduled her wedding on the West Coast for this weekend, so he couldn't attend this game this weekend.
That kind of put him between a rock and a hard place. But how do you pass up your daughter's wedding?
You don't. And that's why he didn't.
If it was his son's wedding, he probably would have been here, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. An ankle tackle made by Damian Daniels. No prize this week on the bye week. That is awesome.
Yeah. You talked about the rock. I was surprised you didn't give us a Yo Adrian call out before. You know?
All kinds of smiles on this Nebraska sideline. Scott Frost, I think part of this week in terms of scheduling a game this week, he said there was talk back in September about rescheduling Akron for December, and that would have been during the week of the Big Ten championship game, which he didn't want to do because he didn't want to send the wrong message to his team that I don't think you can get to the Big Ten championship game when all this was happening in September. So they made this bye week as their target week.
Yeah, I thought that was really smart thinking on his part. You're right. You say, okay, we're not going to play the first week, but hey, we'll play the first week in December, and the players say, wait a minute, you know, how do you know we're not going to be playing in Indianapolis? That's pretty good thinking.
And the value of scheduling this game, well, you obviously you get to play a game, but you have the preparation leading into the game. And this coaching staff so impressed with their attitude, their Thursday walkthrough. They call them the No Sweat Thursdays. Troy Walters, the offensive coordinator, has said that Thursday practice was better than any Thursday practice they had even had at UCF. Called it a national championship kind of walkthrough.
Yeah, and it's needless to say, there had to be a correlation how they played against Minnesota last week. Played offensively like they want to play and feeling good about yourself. We talked about for the first time in a long time getting the first win, people smiling around Lincoln, and then you go to practice and it affects your attitude in a positive nature.
Adrian Martinez and this #1 offense only played one half
hustle
here this afternoon. Breakaway option, spin move. That is Alfred Adams with quite the run.
Big play, but I'm not sure they got that off in time.
No flags on the play, and they'll play on under 2 minutes here as Bethune Cookman is trying to chase down their first touchdown of the game. That was a gain of 30. And Adams stays in.
That put him at the 300 mark, total yards on the day.
Across the middle.
Pass complete to number 84, Tyrese.
The pass complete, and Terry Sims looking to build on this drive. Tyrese Spain making the grab.
That in-slide slant route has been a thorn in their side for a number of weeks now.
The crowd that has stayed making some noise. The handoff to Adams. Immediately met by Simon Ott.
Bethune Cookman wasting a lot of time here.
You can see the look on Scott Frost's face. He does not want to give up a touchdown here in the final few seconds of this game.
Time might run out before
We're at 10 seconds for the game.
This is amazing.
This is going to be the final play of the game. They still haven't snapped it. They snap it with 1 second to go, and they hand off. Final play of the game results in a Bethune Cookman touchdown for Alfred Adams.
I didn't understand the time management, but
well, Bethune Cookman wants to kick the extra point, but they're on the field to do it, and they're pleading their case to do it. They don't have to. The non-competitive advantage there, so it'll be a handshake between the head coaches, and that's your final. 45-9. Nebraska goes back-to-back in the Scott Frost era.
last play of the game.
And Adrian Martinez against some good numbers. Over 200 passing yards in just 1/2 of playing time. Divine Ozigbo over 100 yards in 1/2.
Well, they went through the, I think after they got the big lead, they went through the motions offensively with the first team, but there's still a lot of work to be done on this defensive side of the ball for Nebraska.
Could be a difference in how Nebraska in this program climbs the ladder. 45 final. Another victory for Nebraska. Let's check in with Damon, who's standing by with Scott Frost.
Coach, you scored in the 40s, over 8 yards per play. Your defense got under the 5 yards per play mark. Everybody relatively healthy. Takeaways?
This is the game we needed, considering we're playing 12 weeks in a row. We got a little bit of work in practice, got the guys some time, got some young guys some time. Thought there was a lot of good things. It got a little sloppy when we got our second, third stringers in there, so we got some stuff to clean up, but overall I was pretty pleased.
I know you were excited going in at the half to see some new faces. It's a building process from a depth standpoint. Are you encouraged going forward?
There were some encouraging things, and too many mistakes when we got some other guys out there. So we had them prepped all week. There's going to be their chance, and some of it was really good, and some of it needs to get better.
Coach, thank you. Appreciate your time.
A lot of hoops they had to go through to schedule this game, but Nebraska gets a win out of it. 45-9 is your final. For Glenn Mason, Damon Benning, I'm Lisa Byington. After the break, we will send you to studio Mike, Stanley, and Chuck for a Big Ten game break.